Okay, this activity is practicing with layers and transforming layers. So we're going to make a new document, and it's going to be for print, A4, landscape. Everything else we can leave as it is, and at the top here we'll just call this layer practice. Okay, now because you haven't covered selecting yet, that's in the next learning unit, everything has been selected and saved out for you, so that all that you're doing in this activity is practicing working with layers and combining layers and transforming layers. So we're going to place an image into this document. So File, Place Embedded, and you're going to go to the Activity 131 files, and the first file we're going to choose is Sky. Place it. Now you can see it doesn't quite fit the A4, so we're going to just transform it. So it already has transform handles. This little X through here is telling us that we're placing an external file. So if I just start dragging on the top, you can see that the image sizes proportionally. In other words, it also gets wider. Now I don't want that, so I'm going to hold down Shift, which means that it's only going to transform in the direction I'm dragging. It's not going to transform proportionally. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and drag at the bottom so that the image is sized exactly. Now normally I would not encourage you to distort an image like this, but because it's such a small amount of distortion, it's not going to be noticeable. So once we're happy, you can press Enter, or you can click on this little Commit checkbox. And so we have our first layer here called Sky. In other words, the layer is named after the image that we have placed. So the next thing we're going to do is place a moon in the sky. So we're going to go File, Place Embedded. We're going to select the moon PNG. So the reason why it's saved as a PNG is so that there's transparency around the moon. Now, as I mentioned already, if you know how to select things properly in Photoshop, you can select your own moon, but because we haven't covered that yet, it's been done for you. So we're going to place it. So it's way too big. So we're going to go to the corner handle and just drag towards the center of the image to size it down. So I'm looking at the width and height value feedback there. I'm going to get it down to approximately 60. And then we're just going to drag it into position. Now you don't drag from that little center crosshair, because that's changing the reference point for the image. We're going to rather drag from outside of that. I'm just going to position the moon somewhere like that. In fact, it shouldn't be in front of the clouds, because that's not sellable as a believable image. So just to the side of the clouds there, hit Enter to accept it. And now we have another layer called moon. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to place some palm trees in here. So File, Place Embedded, Palms. It's a PNG as well because it has transparency. Place. And I'm happy with the size of it. I'm just going to move it down a little bit just so that I cut off the little bottom bit of the palms, and I'm going to move it to the side so that it's up against the side of the image, and hit Enter. So I want to make a copy of this for the other side. So there's a number of ways I can do it, but the easiest way is to make sure I'm on the Move tool, hold down the Option on a Mac or the Alt key on Windows, and drag across. If I hold down Shift, it will stay in line. And once I get it to the other side, release, and then I'm going to go Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Okay, so the composition is starting to come together. Now the next thing I want to have sort of like reflective water at the bottom. So I can do that with my sky layer. So I'm going to select the sky layer, and for transformations I'm going to press Command or Control T, Command on the Mac, Control on Windows. So Command or Control T to transform. I'm going to hold down Shift so I can distort this image, and I'm just going to drag it up a little bit. So you can eyeball this to match mine. I don't expect it to be exact. and then I'm going to release, press enter. Then I'm going to duplicate that layer, so I'm going to right click on it, choose duplicate layer. I'm going to leave it as sky copy. Then I'm going to Command or Control T, hold shift, and I'm going to drag all the way down like that to create a kind of reflection, water reflection. Okay, now the moon is not being reflected in the water, so we need to fix that. So I'm going to take the moon layer, right click, duplicate layer, okay, Command or Control T, and I'm going to hold down shift and drag like that, and then release, and then drag this down and try and sort of position it more or less where you can see it positioned in the sky. Okay. Alright, so next we're going to put in some text. So I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded. Now you're going to learn how to do text properly in Photoshop in a later learning unit, but at the moment this is just a PNG of text. Place, and it says the word chill, so I'm just going to make it a bit smaller, not holding shift this time because I want the proportions to be constrained, and then I'm going to drag it into position so that it's kind of behind the palm trees but in front of the moon a little bit. And then I'm going to press enter, and I want this word to kind of interact with the scene a little bit by blending a little bit. So with that chill layer selected, I'm going to go up to my blending modes. Now you're going to learn about blending modes in another learning unit, but it's nice to experiment with them here. So chill is selected, and then I'm going to go up to where it says normal, and I'm going to change to color dodge. So you can see that it's actually kind of interacting in quite a cool way with the light behind it. Okay, so now that we've got our composition made, I'm just going to look at my layers and organize them properly. So I don't need my background layer anymore, so I'm going to delete that. The sky and the sky copy, and the moon copy, and the palms and the palm copy can be organized. So sky, moon, and the chill text can actually be together. So I'm going to bring the drag the moon layer down above sky and the chill layer down above moon. So those three items make the backdrop. So I'm going to select those three, and to group them I'm going to press Command or Control G, and I'm just going to click on the word group 1, double click, and call it backdrop. Okay, then the moon and the sky copies, that's the reflective stuff. I'm going to select those two together, Command or Control G, and I'm going to call that reflections. Okay, and then the palms, I'm going to call this palms 1, or maybe palms L for left, and palms R for right, and then I'm going to select both of them, Command or Control G, and I'll call that group palms. Okay, so that's a nicely managed composition, so I can hide and show the palms all together as a group, the reflections, and the backdrop. I can also go into each one of these groups and I can see what it's made up of. So sky, moon, and so on. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.